Thank you and welcome to March 18th meeting of Town Council. I will call the meeting to order at 6:30. Deputy Mayor, would you like to read the land acknowledgement, please?
Yes, thank you, Mayor McKay. I would like to acknowledge Wolfville is situated in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq, and as such ask that we conduct our business with 7 sacred teachings in mind: truth, honesty, love, courage, respect, wisdom, and humility.
Thank you. At this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended. So,
I can,
do you want to read it into?
I would move that council approve the agenda as circulated and amended.
Thank you. Seconder? Councillor Elliott, thank you. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Contrary minded, that is carried. At this time, it's the declarations of the conflict of interest. Does anyone have anything to declare? Seeing none. Approval of the minutes for town council meeting of February 18th. Can I have that read into the record, please?
Sure, I can do that. I would move that the minutes of the Town Council meeting of February 18th, 2025 be approved as circulated and or amended.
Thank you. Seconder?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councilor Butler. Are there any errors or omissions? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Contrary minded, that too is carried. Moving along, that was supposed to fast. This time we'll do some acknowledgements. So I'll start out with a few things. This month, this March, we celebrated International Women's Day, and a large shout out to the Harvest Gallery, who is still continuing on their Women in Art exhibition until the end of the month. If you haven't gone to see it, it is highly recommended. Last weekend, we celebrated St. Patrick's Day. So we wanted to thank our partners for their support and everyone celebrating safely. Special thank you to our compliance team, Caden and Marin, for their hard work. This weekend is Cheatin' Cup. So we will continue to work towards everyone enjoying these celebrations safely. And if you have any questions or need to get in contact with us, please see the information on our website. Also, there's lots of things happening, lots of open mics, trivia nights. Denton Hall and Alwettle has some great offerings coming up. I always go to When in Wolfville, that was put out by the WBDC for all the things that happen. Every week they put out a post on their Instagram and Facebook. So check those out. It's always a great place to find out what's happening in town. Wizard of Oz is coming up. Tickets are on sale. That's in the 1st of June, I believe, is their showing. Also, a press release went out for Harlem Globetrotters, which is coming out on April 29th and 30th. They're coming back to town, so that will be exciting. Also, there's lots of fun things happening at Tidal Yoga Life, and there's also some mindfulness things happening down at Breathe, which I thought was kind of interesting since we live in interesting times. Perhaps it's a little time to find some mindfulness. Also, March 26th is World Epilepsy Day, so we wanted to acknowledge that. In the past, we've done proclamations, but since we don't do those, I wanted to acknowledge that day is coming up. March 31st is the Trans Day of Visibility. And on April 2nd, there is a showing of Translation, which was, I believe, created by Shelley Thompson, a local resident, and that all funds raised that evening will be going to the Dawn Fund, which is a fund that is a foundation that is created to support trans community in Nova Scotia for their community to increase supports, hope, and joy. So that will be great. I think there is 6 episodes of Translation, and they'll be shown in succession, and so it'll be about 2.5 hours. So that's all I have for coming up from what's been happening in March. Does anyone else have anything they would like to add? Councillor Butler.
I have a couple things.
Awesome.
We turn now to the art scene. This weekend, first is one of my favorite days is the CFUW book sale is this week, Friday and Saturday at the Lions Hall on Elm Avenue. Friday from 9 until 7 and Saturday from 9 until 3. They've got books and puzzles and games, and it's a lot of fun. Horton High School is hosting NECX production of Disney's The Little Mermaid, which is this weekend. I believe it is Thursday, Friday, and 2 shows on Saturday. And the Acadia Theater Company has a new production that starts this weekend called Ghosts Are Dancing by Professor Michael Devine. That is this weekend and next weekend. So find your tickets for all that stuff.
Thank you. Lots happening. Anyone else want to add anything happening in town?
I just want to add to what Mike said, because we always talk about acronyms. Do you mind saying what the CFUW is for everybody out
The
there?
Canadian Federation of University Women.
Sorry, I didn't mean to put you
Probably
on the
why
spot.
I didn't say it in the first place.
Thank you. I
Yes.
didn't mean to put you on the spot.
NECEC, the Northeast Kings Education Center.
Thank you very much for that clarity.
Councilor Elliott.
Just to broaden out the arts news.
Awesome.
Wolfville native Dale Kavanaugh and her husband and 2 other classical guitar performers will be doing a concert in the chapel on Friday evening, which should be pretty darn good.
Fantastic. For a little town, we have lots going on, that's for sure. Lots to take in. Yeah, thank you, everyone. And now it's on to public input. Is there anyone in the gallery that would like to speak? Michelle will bring you up to the microphone. If you just state your name and your address, that would be great.
David Daniels, 3 Toy Lane, Wolfville. And I just have a series of questions that I'll just read. At the January 28th council meeting, I asked the question, is there an actual agreement in place with the developer of 292 Main Street to use parking spaces as a laydown area? Mr. Horn's reply to my question appears in his March 4th CAO report, quote, there is no formal lease agreement in place for construction laydown in the East End Gateway public parking lot. So my question is, if there's no formal agreement, is there an informal or verbal lease agreement now in effect? Has the town determined that the market value of allowing a party to occupy the town land that is currently being used as a laydown area on a temporary basis? Is the developer paying the town for his use of town land? Sometime in the last few weeks, the size of the 292 laydown area has approximately tripled in size. Was council informed that the developer intended to increase the size of the laydown area? Is there a new agreement that deals with the expansion of the laydown area? The consolidated development agreement between 292 Main Street and the town states in paragraph 5.1.9(2)(b), quote, construction of the development must meet the following timing requirements. And then B is exterior of the building to be substantially completed and the building to be weather tight by no later than February 1st, 2025. Here is what the RFD 063/2023 stated regarding timing concerns when the developer sought to amend the development agreement. Quote, assurances were being requested given the delays in the project to date. Staff have discussed timing with the developer and the proposed timing clauses would state, and then it goes on to what's in the actual provisions of the development agreement. I know little about construction of buildings, but it does not appear that the exterior of the building is quote, substantially complete. Has town staff asked the developer why the requirement set out in paragraph 5.1.9.2b was not met? Were members of council informed about the apparent failure of the developer to meet this deadline? change subjects. Devour sought from the town a capital grant for $100,000 and 10 years of graduated taxation. What is the status of the second request, graduated taxation? One of the items on today's council agenda is, quote, council strategic planning. Will the public be allowed to attend all strategic planning sessions when the full council meets, with the exceptions listed in Municipal Government Act, Section 22? Those are the questions I have.
Thank you, Mr. Daniels.
So is that it? So I'll just refer you to policy, town policy. Policy number 110010, which states in section 4.5, the chair, in consultation with members of council, the CAO and the staff designate, will determine if a question posed can be immediately answered, or if it needs to be referred to staff for further follow-up. So many of the questions I asked, the answers, the answer can be given, I think can be immediately given. I assume you know when you've been informed about certain things and the questions I've asked.
I took some shorthand, but I'm not sure that I got them all exactly right.
Yeah.
CAO, if you'd like, there's a couple there that perhaps.
I'm happy to read them over again.
No, that's not necessary, sir, but thank you for the offer. So the approach has been, since this council was elected, that questions that are posed during public input session, whether it be at council or at committee of the whole, they're taken back, in as much of a fulsome answer that can be provided is then provided in writing at the next council meeting, or the next committee of the whole meeting through the CAO report. That approach gives us the ability to fully assess what the question is and bring back the pertinent details, versus the chair or a member of staff trying to come up with the answer on the spot without any kind of background or pre-warning as to what the questions might be. So that's the approach that we've been taking since.
Yeah, but this is the policy.
Yeah,
So are you not following? But then I suggest you either amend the policy or you don't have it. This is the policy. And I know of course what the practice was, but this is the policy that you've I assume thought about and put down. And many of the questions I asked, simple yes and no. Was the council informed about certain things? They either weren't or they were. Whether there's an agreement, you responded to me. I asked, is there an agreement? You responded, there's no formal agreement. That doesn't answer the question. The question is, was there an agreement? And I'm asking again, was there an informal agreement? If you don't want to answer, that's fine. But I'm just pointing out that this is not what the policy provides for. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to address council? Is there anyone online? Thank you. Moving on to motions, or recommendations from Committee of the Whole. The draft equity and anti-racism plan. Ms. Shaw, are you going to do a presentation, or is it as presented at Committee of the Whole?
It's as presented at committee of the whole.
Thank you. I would entertain Councillor Butler.
Lights on.
Lights on.
I would move that council adopt and implement Wolfville's first equity and anti-racism plan.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor, are there any questions on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, that is carried unanimously. Our accessibility plan, assuming status quo from Committee of the Whole. Councillor Elliott.
Thank you. I would move that council approve and adopt the accessibility plan for 2025 to 2028 as presented.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second that. 'cause I
Thank you,
left that.
Councillor Butler. Any questions on the motion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Contrary minded, that too is carried unanimously. Thank you to staff for your work on that. Thanks for a lot of work went into that. Thank you very much. Next motion, our next topic is the Valley Waste Regional Management budget. Mr. Elliott, would you like to, your light's
Sure.
still on, so I
No,
assume.
I'm willing.
Keep going.
I like those people at Valley Waste.
Yes.
I would move that council approve the Valley Waste Resource Management Authority's 2025-26 operating and capital budget.
Great, thank you. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Palmer. Any questions on the motion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Contrary minded, that too is carried unanimously. And our council strategic planning, Deputy Mayor, would you like to put that on the floor?
Sure. I would move that council direct the CAO to procure a qualified consultant to facilitate a strategic planning process that will determine and articulate the priorities and for the duration of this council term.
Do I have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any questions, comments on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, that too is carried unanimously. And then motions from the special budget committee of the whole meeting on March 11th. We have the Wolfville Legion one-time capital funding request. No changes, no comments as presented from the committee of the whole. Someone want to, yeah, Councilor Palmer?
I would move that council consider in the 2025-26 budget process a $4,000 one-time capital grant
40.
contribution.
40.
Oh, 40. Did I say that? I gotta start again. I would move that council consider in the 2025-26 budget process a $40,000 one-time capital grant contribution to the Wolfville Legion branch number 74 to support further upgrades to their facility.
Thank you. Councillor Elliott seconded that motion. Any questions or comments on that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, that too is carried unanimously. And the one-time operational funding request for Horton High School. Sure. Yeah, Councillor Palmer?
I would move that council give further consideration to the 2025-26 budget process to a $2,500 one-time operational grant contribution to Horton High School franchise to support the Duke of Edinburgh Experiences Canada Exchange 2025.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Elliott, thank you. Any questions or comments on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, that too is carried unanimously. That's it. Wow, we were quicker than I anticipated. I'll have entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. Thank you. We are adjourned.